take us back now that
we're back.
Oh, we're back.
We're back.
We're live.
I just clicked one button and we're
live
back.
for that makeout session between
Live.
Finn and
Yeah,
Finn.
probably.
But before we get into our typical topics, can somebody can we? Oh, so good.
Now that our guest is gone, professionalism
Great.
is thrown out the window.
Great.
It's
Great.
fine. It's all fine.
Before we go live, I hope people enjoy the new "We'll be right back" image with Saki.
That's Zach.
That's
actually.
quite good.
That was Zach. That's fine. That's fine. Fine, good content from Zach right there. That's on brand for SDGC. So thank you so much for that, Zach.
Couldn't do it without Saki.
Now, like Brandon is in the chat, but he's not in here. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well,
like he's here.
Well, let's send another
But
invite
he's
and
not here.
let's get into our topics, gang.
All right, so guys, I love that. Like now that our guest is gone, everybody's like, whatever. It's time to fucking go loose. We can stop pretending to be serious. So, guys, I want to talk about PSN name changes.
Yeah,
Name changes are a fucking thing, and they're happening. There's a sock in Finn's face. We're
Finn
already
looks
on
so
the
happy
rails.
about it.
Finn looks he looks thrilled.
Look, you guys all know that was the only reason you missed me on the show, was having Saki on the show.
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah, actually, while you've been gone, Caitlin's actually been on every episode, not been here.
Oh, here we go. We got Brandon back.
Yeah.
There's Brandon. There's
Okay.
Brandon. He's back.
All right, what's up, guys?
What's
Hey.
up?
So Brandon, you came at the right moment. We're just about to start talking about PSN name changes, man.
My favorite thing in the world.
This shit's fucking going down. It's happening.
Have you ever seen my PSN name? It's Big Don Schlong 69. So I've been waiting on that one for a long time.
I can't believe I'm gonna have. I'm so excited about not having to be big boob anime lover anymore. I can almost hardly contain myself. But
I want to
Zach is so
go
unhappy
through the
with me right
list.
now.
I want to go through the list of like all the names people are giving up and change mine to one of those.
Right.
So here's the thing about PSN name changes, right? They're rolling out in a beta, which having to have a beta,
Yeah,
for
just like they
something
did with Fortnite crossplay, right? Like,
it's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like, we're having a beta for our name change service. Like, what?
yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty silly.
But they say that there may be issues with name changes for games that
Unintended consequences.
Yeah.
unintended consequences, which who knows what the fuck
The
that is.
monkey's paw of name changes.
for games that released before April 1st.
Of this year.
Which fucking by the way, April 1st is just the perfect day to fucking specify.
Wait,
for
it'll
this.
still show your old name?
Yeah. Well, they say they don't know. They say they don't know it'll happen.
They don't know what's gonna happen.
Brandon, PSN is a living, breathing entity. All right, you
Oh
can't
my God,
control
dude.
it.
It's a living, breathing
Yeah,
entity that is on the verge of death at any
We
given
don't
moment.
know.
Apparently,
So what I love about this change is that you know, I'm a young person on this podcast. I don't have an embarrassing username, but imagine me right now. We play games together, and my name is my name. My name on PlayStation is Zach. Imagine if we go to play Call of Duty Ghosts, and suddenly you guys are like, wait, where'd Zach go? All we see is XX Smoke Weed 69 XX. Who is this person? And like it's still me. It's just I can't hide behind my name change. Yeah, you can't ever really escape the cringy name you made when you were a kid. With PlayStation, it seems.
My only take on this is that the restrictions are silly and dumb,
Yeah.
but they're also entirely based on the shitty infrastructure the PS3 was built on.
Yep.
And you know what? They could have gone the entirety of the PS4 generation doing nothing and then rebuilt everything for the PS5. But at least they're trying, and I'll give them that.
it's something.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah,
but
it's-
it's
Still dumb.
It's just
but you know what? It's something.
It's the perfect illustration of how short-sighted they were with every single decision that they made leading into the PS3 generation, that they're still being bit in the ass by decisions they made 13 years ago.
I saw it on Twitter, and the perfect thing I saw was the whole PSN and PSN infrastructure seems like the most Don Matrick thing ever.
oh yeah.
That's still biting the company in the ass years later when it shouldn't be an issue anymore, and yet they can't escape it.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for like Andrew House to walk out and just rip his mask off, and it's Don.
Not Andrew House. He's one of the good ones. I'm gonna say Jim Ryan or whoever.
Jim Ryan. Yeah.
Jim. It's Jim Ryan.
It's
now
we all know.
The other
guys,
small
House
thing
is one of the good ones.
Yeah, I did not like that phrase at all. Didn't like it at all. Awful. So here's my thing. There's a lot of this is coming with a caveat of like, we know you want this, so we're gonna roll it out, and it's not perfect. Understandable. The weird thing is, but it is $10. We don't know how it's gonna work. It's $10.
Well, the first one's free.
The
first one is free. You are right. Yep.
And if you have Plus, it's $5.
That's
true.
Name changes anyway.
I think my gamertag's been through like 2 or 3 iterations.
Oh, okay. So
I think
so
we just don't want people to change their names like every week just to continue fighting with people.
Right.
So I'm actually terrified to change my name because I don't know what the fuck it's going to do to my games. Like, I have no idea what it's going to do to my trophies. You're
going to lose your save data in half of them.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Like,
I think the reason that it's like this is specifically so that they're like, this is the only way they can guarantee you don't lose game data and don't lose trophy data. Because from what I understand, like most networking systems give you like a unique user code that's like a number that's stored server side.
Like a string sort of thing.
Yeah. PSN stored your PSN name as that. Like like they literally cannot go back and remove it.
What if when you're playing like a multiplayer game, Justin, what if like as punishment, what if as some sort of weird punishment, you're running around with your new username and then underneath it says the gamer formerly known as Triple X Weed Smoke.
It's just a symbol.
Yeah. So here's my prediction. I think that Finn's absolutely right that they're gonna have most of this stuff sorted by PS5, but I also will say they will not call the next gen equivalent of trophies. They're going to introduce a new system so that way they can be like, oh, don't worry about those trophies tied to your old name. Here's your new name, and also they're now called patches or whatever, right? Emblems.
I can see
patches. That. Yeah, like it's just like a way to like circumvent the old
These are called kudos now.
Yeah, achievement trophies will become, you know what? Because trophies are so blasé. Kids nowadays don't do trophies, you know.
Everyone gets a trophy, but does everyone get a badge?
Yeah. It's like,
a merit badge list.
It'll be like the Boy and Girl Scouts. You know, you earned that badge.
Girl Scouts are patches.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it that said kudos? Was that Derek that said kudos?
Yeah. Kudos. like Mark Stern's just gonna come out and say badges. Everyone's gonna go.
What if instead of the trophy pop? What for on the PS5? What instead of the trophy pop, you just get like a little GIF of Jim Ryan in the corner going.
Yeah.
Or you get like a little like Game Boy camera-esque printer that you attach to your controller, and it prints out a real sticker. And then you have like a wall of stickers from your games that you can
So hey, real quick, Derek, we got a question from Bigwigs 007.
Yeah.
We can answer it at the end. We don't have to answer it now, but we will answer it at the end. Here's my question, right? Does this prove definitively that Sony's online infrastructure is worse than Nintendo's?
No.
I can go right now and change my username on Nintendo, no problem.
Yeah, but
so how many phones do you need to connect to be able to talk?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, and then you can change your username so that we cannot play Mario Party together.
People in chat, Gio agrees with me. People in chat are speaking out. Ian agrees. The people have spoken. All right. The people have spoken. I think this might.
Okay, you know what? Nintendo's online service may be better, but they got a long way to go with their attitude on games.
Their infrastructure is better. But that is literally it. None of the functionality.
So Finn hit the nail on the head. I didn't say the service. I said the infrastructure.
Okay.
You know what? We'll talk after Smash launches. I think that will be our deciding moment about
that'll be a good test.
Hey, don't forget to get their specially designed 17 wire. Like their online solution for voice chat has more wires than a PlayStation VR. And that's,
hey kids playing Splatoon, you like squids? You can get a real squid stuck in the middle of your floor with all your cables connected to it.
Hey man, if you don't listen to Reggie, he says we do it because we're Nintendo. We're different. That's why you have to use your phone.
Yes, Reggie, you are. You are different.
how bullshit your marketing team has to be for your response to be, but we're Nintendo, guys. We just do things different.
I mean, at this point, you might as well say, we're Nintendo. What did you expect?
Yeah.
The underlying meaning behind that response was, I don't get to choose this shit. I just deal with what they give me from Japan. I don't know.
I feel for Reggie because Reggie has the most thankless job. Because if you work for a major,
he's a fucking sweetheart.
Yeah, he's great in person. I've met him several times. He's amazing.
They're
but
the ones that pull all the bullshit, and then you're the ones that have to come up with a palatable way to do that to the West. You're like,
right.
Oh, wait, I can just see him in a Slack message or like a long email chain be like, I'm sorry, they decided what?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he looks at the camera that he's about to speak to and just takes a shot of Jameson and he's like, all right, let's go.
It's just him doing this a lot, going like, all right.
Well, no, it's like Phil Spencer.
I will
like,
return.
Where's Derek going? Derek!
We didn't want you here, Derek.
But no, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Phil Spencer back before he was like, the head of the Xbox Games division. Back E3.
He was a lackey of Metric.
Yeah, E3.
You be nice to my sweet boy.
No, Zach, listen to me. I'm sympathizing with him because on stage at E3 in 2013, when he dropped that $499 price point for Xbox One, you can see it in his face. He was like, he was like, this is not what I wanted, everyone. This is not what I wanted. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, like.
And then the next fall, in the next spring, he was like, "No more Connect." Yeah,
we're done. That's done. Yeah. I just want to point out, by the way, that Mitty in chat said she said that she is glad that the professionalism is gone and we're back to the usual SDGC goodness. So
is that we must
that was
have
a
bad
well-timed question as Derek takes a ginormous swig of Jameson.
Wow!
Fuck yeah!
Somebody timestamp that for me, please. That is the perfect cover picture for when this goes up on SoundCloud and YouTube. That's.
We'll give you another shot of it.
Yeah. Let's do it. Everybody timestamp it. What is this? We're at. Fuck! I can't see
the
it.
label better.
You got to keep drinking, Derek. You got to keep drinking. I can't.
Derek, just keep drinking, and we'll just always record it.
Hold on.
Woohoo!
We
All
know.
right,
We know now. Finn's going to get a drink. We know that this is the content that everyone craves. So, by the way, I just want to point out.
Now.
I know. Seriously. What the fuck? Where the fuck did Finn go?
He's gonna go get a drink too.
The best man for the job is a woman. Hey,
hell
Caitlin,
yeah.
Get on the stream. Caitlin, get on the stream. Get on the stream.
Yeah.
Sit in Finn's chair. Get on the stream.
Fuck yeah.
There we go. Yes. There we go. That's the fucking content.
Yeah.
That's the content
We just replaced Finn.
That's the content we demand. Finn, you're done. Finn, put the sock on your hand.
That's fine. I will assume my true identity as the real Saki.
Bull
it.
crap. I'm just gonna say
Hi guys.
This is.
What
So,
the hell is going on with this?
Caitlin, give us a hot video game take.
Yeah, tell us about what you think about video games this week.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tell us about video games.
Ask her about how I crushed her spirits in Super Mario Party.
Finn's a fucking.
Yeah,
So-
talk us about it.
Yeah, no, tell us. No, walk us through this.
I, as y'all know, I am new to video games, and he bought Mario Party, and I thought that, I don't know, getting married this year would mean that he loved me. And
No, when it comes to Mario Party.
he sabotaged a team game that was 3-on-1 because
That sounds like Mario Party.
I would get enough coins to get the star and beat him, and so he did nothing, so I
So-
would lose.
I threw the
That's
game
strategy.
out, and then who won overall? It's called strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we had won the 3-on-1 game, it was the last round. She would have had enough coins to buy a star to tie me, and I knew she was going to win those bonus stars, so we couldn't have that. So
Finn's got hustle.
here's the
Finn's
best part.
got no morals.
Wait. The best part.
No, he did
Yeah.
not.
And if you play Mario Party, it's the one where you guys are operating the crab.
Oh yes.
Crush the third person or the fourth
Yes.
person. So she's one of the hammers. I'm moving it, and I just don't move at all. And the time's ticking down. I'm just moving. The computer's just standing there, and she looks at me. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I just turn and smile. She's like, "You're sabotaging me. You
How
stupid
dare
bitch."
you.
And I just look at her,
Yes.
I win. And she's, oh my god, it was so good.
I played Mario Kart. Jesus. I played Mario Party with Vicky the other night, and she'd never played any Mario Party, unfamiliar, right? So we're going through the board game, and I stole a star from her. Like I stole the star away from her, and she looks at me and she says, "We're fucking married." And I was like, "Honey, look, I'm gonna make this as clear as I can. This is fucking Mario Party, okay? Like there's no marriage here, okay? Like right now we're enemies." And so, but here's the thing: I felt bad, and I reached out to kind of like touch her hand. I was like, "I'm sorry." She sneezed in her hand and wiped her snot.
I like her. I need to.
Who fucking does that? Who does that shit?
I would do that shit.
That's just
John,
Mario Party brings out truly.
you
the
married
kid.
her.
I did, and it's fucking great. It's disgusting. You know what? This is Mario Party. While we're on the topic of Mario,
Not
Party,
even once.
I wrote the review.
This fucking this podcast is already completely off the rails. So let's just keep trucking with it.
We're just having a good time.
Fucking
Yeah.
going.
We
Wow.
had
Wow.
wait,
Batman
right at the
suit.
beginning.
Wait. Wow.
I'll have you know
No.
that Ace the Bat Hound, and it's Halloween.
It's
Zach,
adorable.
look at that fucking wholesome dog. Look how
It's a beautiful.
so
It's a
cute.
beautiful creature. Here's what I want to do before we get into more content because we're already being really professional. Please go to our Medium because we've been writing stuff and we just want people to read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna write more reviews, more editorials and stuff.
Yeah,
So
Derek just did Mario Party. I just did Forza. John's been writing about Final Fantasy. His takes are bad. Go on Twitter and argue with him.
Hey,
Justin in the coming days, if he's got the time, is gonna get a post up on lore in Destiny 2, specifically about the Dreaming City. I've already read it. It's really fucking good. You'll like it too.
It is
I
really
actually just finished editing that, and
Good.
I have the draft submitted, so
Good.
it's almost ready to go up. So
Good.
that should be on soon.
That's
Okay.
so nuts about why Yamcha is the definitive Dragon Ball character of all time.
do it.
I just want to point out.
Yamcha.
I just want to point out. Somebody in chat. It was Dio said remove John from the podcast. Put her in. Talking about Vicky.
Hell yeah.
I sent her a text. Told her to come down. So we'll
Okay.
see.
Let's see.
Good.
She's actually
Did you like put context onto that because you can't usually just text your partner to come down.
So I'm
Fuck
gonna
off.
So I told her to come down. We'll see what happens. But I want to get serious for a minute, guys. We need to get serious. This is fucking serious. But we're talking about video
Okay.
games, all right? All right, fucking serious business.
Serious business, yeah.
Serious
Did you
motherfucking
see
business.
the amount of Jameson I just drank? There's no
What is
serious for
Finn
me.
drinking now? What the hell
I
is
think Finn's drinking.
Is
that mouthwash?
My bad. I thought it was fucking
Only
Listerine.
the top shelf list.
It's Aquafina. It's Aquafina. Yeah.
Oh.
John left. So
John's gone. God. Two weeks later.
We're doing this shit. We're gonna do it right.
Okay,
it looks like an empty bottle.
We've drank through all of our other stuff. All I have
I'm
left
drinking
is my
the rum.
gin.
I'm drinking the rum.
Anyway,
John. Hey, John. I've got a legitimate topic. Obsidian in Microsoft.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's big news. We gotta talk about that.
Yeah.
Julian in chat says super deformed give up cast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Look, we used
What?
all of our professional points in the first half of the show where we did this kick-ass interview. It is the best thing we've ever done. It's gonna be amazing. And now we gotta make up for it.
Yep.
All right. So Zach actually does have a serious topic. So let's hit it.
Yeah, I mean, so the big report, and it's been rumored before, but then when Jason Schreier talks about it, then you really need to take it seriously. Which is Microsoft is in final talks, presumably, to snag up Obsidian. Obsidian has made Pillars of
They've got a long
Yes.
history of games.
It's a long history. I mean, most notably in the last decade, I think their biggest game was Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
And South Park Stick of Truth.
South Park.
And
Yeah,
Stick of
South
Truth.
Park.
And Stick of Truth.
South Park, didn't they?
Oh,
Yeah.
classic. What was it? Alpha Protocol.
Alpha Protocol.
Yeah.
Both of the Pillars of Eternity games, they were part of the that Tyranny game. They were part of the resurgence of the RPG genre with using crowdsourcing and Kickstarter to fund their
Right.
revival. They've got a long storied history, but they've always worked for other companies, and it's always been difficult for them to make their own games. So I know Zach personally has said this before, where having them actually have a stable budget, it'll be fascinating to see what they have and what they can make, because that's always been their issue, is they're
Right.
janky.
Right, and like, listen, like, I think there's all the reason in the world to be skeptical when you see that their new partner might be Microsoft permanently. Totally understand that, but like, it also seems like based on what was signaled at E3 this year, Microsoft has an open checkbook, which should potentially, hopefully, mean some stability for them. So it'll be wild to see what a big budget game for them looks like in this era.
I tweeted this out, and then I'll kick it up to Brandon and Justin and Derek if they want to cut in on this. But I used to have like at first I was kind of iffy about this because I don't like the prospect of great games being locked on one platform if it can be helped. Having said that, with the situation that happened with Telltale, and then what was it, Ubisoft Montreal or Quebec?
No, it was Capcom Vancouver.
Capcom, it was Capcom Vancouver. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ubisoft Montreal. What the fuck am I thinking? But yeah,
that ain't it.
Yeah, that's not it at all.
They're doing well.
But with everything that's happened with them, if it means that you know, not only does the game get made, I mean that's great, but if it means stability and financial viability for these people and their families, I'm all for it.
Right.
Like,
And
Yeah, I also like kind of initially had a bit of a negative reaction just because you know, some people might not remember, but especially like early on when Microsoft was entering the game industry with the original Xbox, and then also kind of, you know, when we were in that period between, you know, the initial announcement of the Xbox One, when it was going to have all this DRM and stuff that eventually got removed and stuff, there was always kind of this like undercurrent of, well, Microsoft could just open up their wallets and buy up the industry. So like, you know, with, you know, expanding by 6 studios and, you know, maybe not even being done with that in the year kind of initially kind of brought that back. But, you know, I thought about it more, and obviously there's very different management now. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Microsoft's strategy evolves in the coming years, because like obviously Xbox is still going to be a core pillar of it. I'm not one of those people saying, oh, they're getting out of making consoles of the gaming industry. Clearly they're not getting out of the gaming industry, but it'll be really I think it'll be really interesting to see like how they, you know, expand the streaming platform and like how they continue beyond. Like I definitely think there's no question there is going to be another, you know, Xbox that is well supported and stuff.
Oh,
but
sure.
like I could almost like with the number of studios they are acquiring and the way that they're expanding, I could almost see them saying, you know, eventually that they're going to transition to being more of, you know, a general publisher, because that like if they're buying up 6 studios this year and they only have had a few in the past at once active, and if they, you know, are still getting more past that, it seems like Microsoft's plan is probably going to be very different than like what Nintendo or Sony would be doing if they were buying up this many studios. I'm very interested to see how that evolves. Like, because they also started talking about their streaming platform this week. I'm gonna go out with a prediction saying that streaming platform is going to be available on Switch. I think that is something that they're going to try to do.
That would be bold.
I think I'll go one further. I don't think they're going to become a traditional publisher like we see now.
I was saying like way in the future.
But my guess is that they will not be a console. They will not be a publisher. They will be a platform. The same way Netflix is the same thing Netflix is. I think Game Pass is flirting with that, and I think seeing their streaming service broadly is probably what we can expect from them. I don't know. I think this is good, and I also think concerns about exclusives in the short term are less significant than they used to be for Microsoft, just because I mean they're publishing on PC for every game that they do on
I
Xbox.
think it's less significant for the industry in general.
Yeah, so I mean Microsoft is publishing on 2/4 of the main platforms that people are playing games on right now. So
what's the remind me? What's the Xbox streaming? Was xCloud?
xCloud is, I think it's still a code name right now, but yeah, xCloud.
Okay, all right. Derek, are you excited about playing Halo on your Switch?
Right.
No, you're fine. I just want to ask Derek if he's excited about playing Halo on Switch.
No, not at all.
No.
I'd be excited to play Halo on my PC, but they've decided that we don't ever get those particular Xbox games.
It's coming.
I've been
not.
seeing on Twitch
don't believe it
lately
anymore.
a lot of streamers saying the phrase, "I wish Halo was on PC." Like I've been hearing that a lot.
I'd love to do just to co-op the campaigns even of the game would be great, but I don't get nice things, so
you'll get it.
Yeah.
Hey, whoa, hold on. You got on this podcast, Derek. You do get nice things.
Are we so sure about that?
It's a curse.
Anyway,
he said what he said.
Yeah. Back to Obsidian. So I think my opinions, as with many things, are very, very broad, and they're not like sexy hot takes. So you can look at this from two different perspectives.
For the sexy hot takes.
I know, and here I've got to come and be like reasonable and shit.
That's weird.
So you can look at this in terms of how it relates to your opinion about like Microsoft and removing Microsoft completely from the situation. You have two different conversations. In regards to Microsoft, I think that it is incredibly hypocritical for people to choose to see this as a bad thing.
Yep.
If like we spent the entirety of we as in like collectively the gaming community and enthusiasts, we shat on Microsoft for not having first-party studios and content to put out, and doomed them from the start for not having that. And when they tried to make partnerships, we laughed at them because, oh, well, you're just paying people who don't belong to you to try to make games for you. So now that they're acquiring studios, so that they actually have first-party studios, like you either shut up or you acknowledge that you're really just in this to fling poo at a console manufacturer you don't like because you're 12. In that regard.
Or emotionally 12.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The only kind of concern along those lines I have is just, I don't think we've seen any of the, big three expand by this many studios in this short of a time before.
Yeah. Well, and that's where we go to.
Yes. And I have had, I mean, to me personally, outside of the teams that have been working on Forza, I don't think they've done a great job of managing the teams that they have.
Gears of War 4 is very good.
I have not played it myself.
Have to work on your mic levels.
Is it very loud?
It's no. After we'll work on your. It's okay. It's fine. Your gain's a little high, but it's fine.
Good.
But,
I've got a lot to say.
But basically, like, my only concern is that I hope, and with the current management that is at Xbox and has been working first-party team and stuff, I think Outlook is much better than it would have been in the past if they had, done this.
Yeah.
I do hope that they can give these studios the resources they need and manage them well.
Yep, and that brings to the other. If you choose to not specifically lock down on like how Microsoft ties into this. Like, that's where it gets a little more complicated, and I think there's more room to feel good and bad about this. It never feels good to see independent studios, especially studios that have been making games on non-Microsoft systems. Like, we had some discussions, and somebody compared it to, like, Sucker Punch with Sony, got bought up by Sony, and nobody made a big deal. But like Sucker Punch had been making PlayStation exclusive games for so long, why did it matter whether or not they were owned by Sony or not? So people are going to feel different about that.
Well, and Derek, I think that's why people reacted to them picking up Playground the way they did.
Yeah.
Simply because it's like, they've been making Forza for fucking how
Nobody
long
sweated
now?
over Playground. It was Ninja Theory that people were like, whoa, I don't know. It's Obsidian that people are like,
out about Ninja Theory.
Yeah,
like,
well, because Ninja Theory just put out Hellblade. Which was great and it was multi-plat, and now you're saying, well, now that whatever they do next, if I liked Hellblade, I might only be able to get on a console that I may not own. But at the same time, like, Hellblade was a big financial risk for Ninja Theory, and it did well, but it could very easily have put them under if it didn't do as well as it had. And going with a big publisher gives them some stability. Yeah. So it's, And
the thing about Ninja Theory in particular, because that is, I think, the one that has been the most contentious out of all of these, for a lot of reasons. But I think they were also probably one of the teams, aside from Playground and Undead Labs, who had been working with, very closely with Microsoft for a long time. I think they made a lot of sense because they made games that were very different than what Microsoft Studios were doing, and I think appeals to a different crowd than Microsoft's typical studios are, which I think, that was a smart acquisition for that reason, because I think they'll, more narrative focused stuff, hasn't been where Microsoft Studios have really focused on. And that's where Ninja Theory excels. And I think makes a lot of sense for both companies because they, Ninja Theory will have this kind of unique place within the studios that Microsoft has.
They were filling a gap that was in their portfolio for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So here's my question. Why hasn't so a lot of these companies were in financial peril, right? And Microsoft doing this has saved them. Like for example, Obsidian is a great example, right? Like they weren't doing so well financially.
I think Pillars of Eternity 2 actually sold.
It did. But here's my question: Is anybody else surprised that they didn't pick up Remedy? They made no moves to pick up Remedy at all.
I wouldn't count that out yet, honestly.
I mean, Control is coming out for PS4, PC, and Xbox.
That doesn't mean anything really.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we'll hear an announcement like, hey, by the way, we got
Maybe.
John, if I may, having it come out on all systems would be the same situation as Compulsion Games with We Happy Few.
Yeah.
Right.
The deal for that game is already locked down with 505. It just means anything going forward, they'd have.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of curious as to what the Microsoft 505 relationship is, because isn't 505 like publishing some of Microsoft's games on Steam?
I think that's THQ actually.
But 505 is also handling the PS4 physical release of Hellblade. The Xbox version is being done by Microsoft. So there is also some kind of 505 Microsoft.
Well, 505 has had a good relationship with Sony for a while. They're also doing the Indivisible game for everybody, but they're handling the PlayStation version themselves, I believe.
Yeah.
And a lot of other 505 games. I don't think it's anything against Microsoft. I think they've just had a relationship with Sony for a long time.
I also just like this just struck me, but I noticed there was a moment there when Caitlyn was just like staring at Finn behind him and cracking her knuckles, and I thought for a minute, I was like,
she's just gonna
is she gonna punch him? Like, is she just going to attack Finn out of nowhere? Like
off camera.
She keeps telling me every time I open my mouth, it makes her want to hit me, and you never see it, but she has a sack of quarters that she uses, so I don't breathe.
Like mafia style.
Yeah.
Our marriage sounds very healthy.
She's putting 8 balls. Like how many times has she filled soccer with 8 balls and taken it to your head? Like
Derek, I am.
All right, we're bumping up against our time limit here. But boy, what a great podcast this was tonight.
John's ending a couple minutes early because he's old and alcohol hits him hard and he gets tired.
It is. Zach, you could also just go fuck yourself anytime, man. Like, please feel free. Like, I'm just kidding. I love you, buddy. I love you.
I know. Come on.
So
and my loud microphone.
A little bit of housekeeping.
That one's me.
Derek and I, I think we're actually going to be. We had no technical issues at all tonight. I think.
Tonight was there was a couple of little hitches, tiny drops during the interview section, but it was only like the screen went black for like that. Yeah, it was almost nothing. This was a pretty clean.
So by SDGC, by SDGC standards, this wasn't bad. This wasn't bad at all. We had a great interview with.
My favorite part of my stream, the favorite part of this stream is us self-congratulating before. It's always a strong point.
I know.
By the way, Zach, as you said that, your voice cut out for me.
Yeah,
perfect.
I was just gonna nod and agree.
Checks the fuck out.
Yeah.
Checks the fuck out.
Just a little bit of housekeeping for everybody. I loved how active the chat was tonight. By the way, thank you so much, guys, for showing up tonight. A great interview with Nicholas from Ubisoft. Of course, one of the lead quest designers on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. We learned a lot. We love doing that kind of stuff. And then we had fun cutting loose after that because there's no fucking. I'm so exhausted pretending to be a professional.
He was like boiling over. He's got to let loose.
I gotta cut loose at some point. And Derek and I are going to be at some point doing a series of videos analyzing each one of the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, we'll try to get as many of us in as we can.
That is a task
but we want to do a discussion on every main numbered Final Fantasy game for everybody on SDGC who wants to get in. We'll do it as like a pre-recorded series. What was that?
And y'all know my Final Fantasy takes.
Oh, they're gonna be steaming.
Oh man.
23, right?
No, they're.
John's face.
Oh, it hurts. John, you're mostly good, so I don't have too many reservations. Whew.
I think he's still mad at me.
Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and cut it off here. Don't forget, guys. We got a lot of big stuff coming up for the podcast. We're very excited. Big things are happening. We're getting review codes. We're making inroads. Of course, I'll say this every week till it happens. I'll be on Kind of Funny Games Daily on November 15th, co-hosting that show with Greg Miller in San Francisco, and we may have some. You know what? I'll leave it at that. It's not time to let the tiger out of its cage yet. But anyway, if nobody has anything else, as always, guys, please follow us on Twitch. So sub on Twitch, sub on YouTube, follow us at official SDGC. Please check out our Medium page where you can find all our articles and reviews. It's www.medium.com/SDGC. We would really appreciate that. And until next week, it's not always poetry and we don't always agree, but we always keep it real. So until then, take care of each other.